going here. The fourth team. And the next team to present in the final round is Rebellion Photonics. Help welcome them this afternoon.
What if you could see the difference between anthrax or sugar? Cancer or a benign cyst? Toxic fumes or just water vapor? What if? What if one company with one core technology could identify all these materials instantly? We're Rebellion Photonics, and that's exactly what we do.
Rebellion Photonics has identified a clear unmet need in the marketplace. The need for a portable detector that can identify materials in real time without ever touching the sample. And we've created a product that meets that need. The product is a chemical detector camera. This camera captures images in 16 megapixels and digital video. This camera sees more than just colors. It sees the chemical composition of objects. Now that might sound too good to be true, but in fact, optical chemical detection is an established technology. It's been around for decades. Rebellion Photonics' true innovation is making this technology portable and capable of instantaneous video rate imaging. This camera is the first of its kind ever created, and it was developed right here at Rice University. Rebellion Photonics has a fully functional prototype that's video capable. And this prototype already has been used to image objects as small as a human cell and as large as the Houston skyline. So what do we mean by chemical detection? Well, we're not just talking about chemicals that you might find in a laboratory. Everything is made of chemicals. Every material, every object, pretty much anything you can think of that's not energy is made up of chemicals. And because different materials like wool or wood or cell matter are made up of different compositions of chemicals, they all reflect light in truly unique ways. And you can think of those reflections as a bar graph. And our camera essentially reads those bar graphs, and that's how it identifies the different materials. So why would someone use a chemical detector? Well, there are a lot of industries that spend a lot of money to identify chemicals. And they use it for applications like research, safety, and quality control. And right now, most of the time, they have to use physical detection methods. So think about when you go to the airport and they swipe your hands. They're looking for trace levels of explosive materials. And they can only monitor maybe 1 in every 30 people because this process takes time. With our camera, you could monitor the entire airport. You could monitor every individual on the surface of every piece of luggage in real time, just like you were using a video camera. And this is just one potential application of this camera, so just imagine the possibilities. Simply put, optical chemical detection with a camera is faster, better, and cheaper than physical detection. The market for this chemical detector camera is $1.6 billion. And with such a large market, it's not surprising that there are a lot of companies who'd like to compete in this market. And in fact, there are a lot of companies that have optical chemical detectors. But only one company, Ocean Optics, has succeeded in creating a portable device. However, unlike our device, which can capture an entire large format image instantly, Ocean Optics' device can only capture a single point in that image. Despite this more limited technology, this company has been quite successful, and they sold for $50 million in 2004. So who exactly will buy this camera? Well, this is a list of the actual companies that purchased the portable device from Ocean Optics. And what this list shows us is that there are many companies that are educated about this technology, that have an expressed need for this technology, and are willing to pay for it. Energy companies will use our camera to identify new sources of oil. Pharmaceutical companies will use our camera for process line quality control. And food manufacturers will use our camera to monitor the quality of their inputs as well as the quality of their products.
So how do we serve such a diverse customer base? By developing different types of software for use with our camera. The first type of software will provide just the raw data. Customers like energy industry, as well as research laboratories, actually prefer this type of data. The development of this software is complete and ready for sale. The second type of software will provide a yes-no response. Is a chemical present or not? The majority of these customers will be interested in this software. One example would be an airport screener who would use our device to search for thousands of explosive materials instantly. The development of this software will cost around $50,000. Our third and most advanced type of software will not only determine whether a chemical is present or not, but how much of a chemical is present. This is especially important for quality control, where manufacturers of electronics as well as pharmaceuticals can use our device to monitor the quality of their product. Once this software is complete and the initial search algorithms, software updates as well as purchasing other chemical libraries will be relatively inexpensive. So what separates us from the competition? Well, at Rice University, we have invented a totally new technology capable of taking a photo for chemical detection instantly. This means we can detect chemicals in real time. And if we take these photos together, we can provide real-time video. This real-time chemical detector is truly the first of its kind. Up until now, optical-based chemical detection imagers have been used primarily in the lab. This is because they all rely on old scanning-based techniques, which can only acquire a line in the image at a time, and therefore cannot be real-time and cannot come out of the lab. Our technology is different. Instead of scanning line by line by line, we take the full image, break it up into all of the lines, and then gather those instantly and record them. This means we have several advantages never seen before in this industry. This includes real-time video. In addition, our device will be more durable, it can be battery-powered, as well as less expensive, since we can utilize many off-the-shelf components. As you can see, our device will revolutionize the chemical detection industry. Now, for some of the techies in the audience, like I know there's some NASA people here, here are some of the specs for our current prototype and product. The one thing I want to point out here is our device does not rely on filters, which means it'll be more sensitive as well as adaptable to other wavelengths. So how do we plan on making money? Well, first by selling the base camera unit as well as accessories like different types of zoom lenses. Second, we will offer standard service contracts. And third, and perhaps the most exciting in terms of a revenue reason, is we will provide software updates. These software updates are primarily important for the security industry as well as food contamination, where not having the most up-to-date software is simply not an option. And this will generate continual revenue into our company. And this is exactly why our target market first is for security, where first responders, as well as Border Patrol and airport screeners, will use our device for detecting explosives as well as illegal drugs. As a contingency plan, if penetration is slow into this market, we can purchase a different library of chemicals and go after other markets like pharmaceuticals or the energy industry. Our marketing strategy will be similar as our competitors. We'll be making direct calls to customers, publishing in major scientific journals, which we're doing already, as well as posting ads in these journals. We also plan on exhibiting at major technical shows around the country as well as the rest of the world. And we're also looking into hiring on outside sales reps with industry-specific experience.
So where is Rebellion Photonics now? Well, we formed initial management and the LLC early 2009. Earlier this year, in 2010, we won our first international business plan competition in Thailand. We competed against 55 teams and won first place, the King's Award. Last month, we became a client company of the Houston Technology Center, and research and development was completed. Initial management's been formed. I am CEO Allison Lamine. I come from a long line of entrepreneurs, and I'll be receiving my MBA from Rice this May. I also have a master's in nanoscale physics and had experience working at HTC, commercializing technologies just like these. Our Chief Technology Officer is also the inventor. He just spoke, Robert Kester. He'll be receiving his PhD from Rice in physics also this May. The mic not working. Robert also has 8 years experience working in the optics industry, including 2 working with an OEM in production. Our team is filled out by 3 other Rice MBAs, Tatsia Grandpré, Ann Robin, and Francis Parker. Oh, come on, we have to laugh. The mic is bad. Right. Okay, and we're actively hiring, you can give me your card later, for Director of Sales, as well as Chief Operating Officer, and technical staff to ramp up production. Our management team is complemented by our excellent advisory board, who we talk with every day and have been there since the beginning. The 3 advisors who we talk with the most are shown above, and they have over 150 years of applicable experience. So we've already received $3 million in funding from the National Institute of Health, and that's what we use to complete our prototypes. Going forward, we're applying for $1 million in Emerging Technology Fund from Texas, also over $2 million worth of SBIR grants this August. Now, because this type of grants and funding is slow to come by, we're going out for VC funding, and we're seeking $1.25 million. Well, we use these VC funds for critical equipment as well as money to ramp up production. We've included a 20% cushion. So with every startup, especially tech startups, there are going to be critical risks, and here are 3 of the most common. First, does the technology work? Well, we've already published in 3 peer-reviewed journals. Also, we have 3 letters of interest from customers who expect our product by the end of the year. Finally, Department of Defense has contacted us, looked into our product, and we're on the first step of becoming a supplier for the Department of Defense. And they're most interested in our camera for first responders. We're licensing our technology from Rice University. The license will be global and exclusive. Heaven's sakes. Global and exclusive. We made our patent with Baker Botts, and we're very happy with it. We've filed the PCT in order to extend the life of the patent. The patent includes the critical part, camera, real-time video, and 3D zoom, which has never been done before. Okay, so it works, but it seems difficult to make. Well, there's one critical part. Probably can't see it from up there. It's kind of small. 1 inch by 1 inch, aluminum. We make this part, and for us, it's easy. But for anyone else, no. Not just the patent, trade secrets and just knowledge and advanced optics are required. Not only that, but very critical and specialized equipment, including a diamond turning machine. So we make that one part in-house, and then all the other parts, lenses, zooms, casing, we buy off the shelf and then put together. So for us, it's actually quite a simple product to make. Initial sales. Market penetration for high-tech devices can be slow because you have to educate those customers. Well, our customers are already educated. As I mentioned before, when we started publishing in these journals, the customers came to us, so to speak, and we already have a line formed. The first 3 customers understand that the device will cost $100,000, and the letter of interest that we can show you later shows that they want the device by the end of this year, and this is what they'll be expecting to pay. And these are just sales for 2010. So it's we can reach cash flow positive. We can reach cash flow positive by the end of this year. net income of over $1 million by 2012, and we'll be selling 100 products in 2011 and ramping up to 5,000 units by 2013. We can do this by outsourcing. The average price of the product will be $25,000, and we will consistently meet gross profit margins of over 50%. The combination of high profit margins as well as high volumes looks good. So we're seeking $1.25 million in exchange for 20 to 35% equity. I would love to speak with you more about that in private. Now, an important mention to make is that unlike medical devices, we're only looking for one big raise. So, great return for investors. It's time. Thank you for listening. Thanks for holding out with me with the sound bites. Join the rebellion.
I guess the first question is, in layman's terms, how does it work? You talked about purchasing a chemical library, so kind of walk me through as a layman, not as a technical person, how this works for us.
I'm sorry, who was the judge who asked that? Oh, in the back.
Right here, in the
Hi.
back.
The question was, walk me through how the camera actually works. Okay, so give me the basic one. Every chemical reflects light in a certain way. We call it a barcode in layman language, but it reflects light in a certain way, every chemical. For example, that white pile could be sugar or anthrax. It's going to reflect light, just ambient light. All things reflect with either the left or the right. Our machine reads that at every pixel, and that's 16 megapixels right now, to distinguish the chemical. Oh, no, that's fine. So the camera has 16 megapixel. Our main competitor can do this optical chemical detection, but they only read a single point. This technology is not new. That's been around since the 1980s. Our big breakthrough is making it a full 16 megapixel camera. So it works like a barcode reader. Thank you. I like going that. Do I pick?
I've got two questions. First question is, can you tell us about the cost of the device that you need to manufacture yourself and how you're going to do that? And the second question is, what are you going to do about gases? I'm assuming that you're only looking at the optical properties of solid materials, but tell me about that.
Great. Questions two-part. Cost of the part, our critical part. Interesting question. And also, can your device detect gases? And if so, how do you do that? First up, Frances Parker.
Sure. So the machine that we use to make this critical component is called a diamond turning machine. Those machines cost about $350,000, and we estimate that we can make about 500 to 700 a year on one machine. So just in terms of the actual product cost, it's that, and then it's some labor. It's about an hour and a half worth of labor that we would pay. So it comes out to about anywhere from $600 to $800, and then just additional parts and the aluminum.
$800 a part, including materials and salary.
Question.
Yeah, and in terms of gases, we can detect that. There are gas curves, but you would have to have an active light source. So we would include with our system some kind of, let's say, laser system, per se.
Question here.
Not all cases.
I'm assuming, since you mentioned the first market you want to go is security, and repetitively you mentioned first responders, assuming they're firemen, police, EMS, or others. Who are you pursuing to be your distribution channel? Exact names, not who are you pursuing right now? Who are you pitching this product in distributing your product technology in the hands of first responders?
Do you want that? Okay. The question was distribution of security products. So the first security products we're looking into, Department of Defense is most interested, are incredibly technical, not high volume, but high profit margin products. And so they're only looking for about 100. So we will be producing and selling those and doing the distribution. We have talked to Gulf Coast medical device companies. Gulf Coast medical device manufacturing organization, and they have offered, and we are getting quotes on distribution via them, and then that is an option when we go more than 100. And they're located here in Texas.
Yeah, hi, a couple of questions up here.
Oh, sorry. Hi.
Is it plug and play, or does it have to be integrated with any other software or hardware systems? And the next, in one of the slides, you mentioned $100,000 was needed for software development. Is that to develop any further algorithms for the product? And lastly, if you're talking to the Department of Defense and you were to sell to them, would that put any type of ITAR restrictions based on working with them as far as further distribution globally?
Let me see if I can get all your questions. First question was, is it plug and play? Second question was about the investment we need in software. Is that per customer? Is that a one-off? And the third question was about
Yeah, it's about export and ITAR-related issues.
exporting and ITAR-related issues.
Yeah, and within that second one is about the algorithm. Is
Okay.
the algorithm in place? Thank you.
He's especially interested in the algorithms on the second question. Okay. So first question, plug and play, yes, and also the information can be taken through a USB cord, put on an LCD screen for user-friendly interface, or can be streamed wirelessly. The second question on the algorithm, just a quick on a business note, that's a one-off investment on those $50,000 and $100,000 for the two different types of software. Once we create the software algorithms, we just have to get different chemical libraries to input into the camera for the different customers, and those are minimal costs because they're public information. I think my colleague wants to add something.
Yeah, and the other thing on the technical side with those algorithms, we're talking with some of the leaders of the software development. This type of technology is around, and so they've developed and optimized these algorithms. They're actually working or have completed optimizing them for these GPUs, which are the same chips that are used in Xboxes and PlayStations today for doing really fast calculations, like millions of calculations a second for processing these graphics. So we would leverage that technology for analyzing our images.
Hi. I've got two questions. The first is, what is the kind of light is required in order to take the pictures? Like if you were at an airport, would it work just with the ambient light at the airport? Does there need to be some kind of special lamp or something to take pictures? Or if you're at night, does it just need a simple flash or some kind of special lighting? And then the second question is, I was wondering if you can give us a little bit more detail on the nature of your patent protection. And you said you can do 16 megapixels, but the other technology can just do 1 point or maybe just one line. And I couldn't really understand from the way you described your patent protection how strong it might be to prevent other competitors from doing something similar in a different way to deliver some of the capabilities that y'all have.
So really a three-part question. First part on, well, I think the order's off, but there's patent protection. We want to hear about the patent protection. Second part of the question is lighting. How does the lighting need to be for these cameras? And third question is, how is your patent compared to your competitors, and extend that to what are your competitors doing? Can they encroach quickly? I'll take the third one.
Okay. So yeah, in terms of lighting, this is an optics technique, so you have to have the light there, right? Now, for illuminating in the room, some chemicals you can just use the ambient light for detecting. In some cases, we can use laser systems, that are eye safe, as well as what was the other point? The technique is out there. I mean, people can do this type of thing with the light. Oh yeah, the other point I wanted to make is we can go infrared, and in that case, you become the source. And with our technology, unlike with filters, they block that light, so they can't go into the infrared as easily. With our technique, we can as well. So, yeah, and in terms of the IP, we have a strong PCT. We're one of the first in this space, which is really great. So like I said, we've patented the ability to do 3D zoom, which nobody else that I'm aware of can do. And preventing competitors from entering this space, we've pretty much patented the use of our camera. So for other people to efficiently utilize these chips, these sensors, the same way we are, we've sort of protected ourselves from them just modifying that. And then we have strong IP on this custom component we were saying, which breaks apart the image. We have strong IP where you can put that in the system. So I think we're very well protected in terms of patents.
So a question relative to how it works.
Oh.
If you've got a pure substance, or a substance like you shared, sugar, anthrax, flour, whatever, you may have it mixed together, and maybe you can separate that. But more importantly, if you're scanning a large area like an airport, which is made up of hundreds of millions of different chemicals potentially, you tell me, how do you pick out individual ones where the spectral elements may confuse each other as well too?
Sounds like we have a scientist, and we've confirmed and published that we can do spectral unmixing, so we can identify those. We've even identified the difference between GFP and YFP in cellular structures. And just to finish his question, which we never did, which is competitive advantage of our patent and who else could encroach. Can I have that slide quickly? Okay. Small, tiny world in advanced optics, no one's doing what we do. And our only competitor, Ocean Optics, is using a filter array, which means it cannot be used in normal day conditions. And that's all the best anyone can do but us. Thanks for your questions. Sorry, thank you.